Hello and welcome to another episode of the Diet Obsessed podcast. I am your host, Veronica Santarelli. I am a certified personal trainer, nutrition and weight loss coach, and this podcast is for those of us who are just obsessed with everything related to improving health and longevity, with a special emphasis on food, fitness, and diet culture. All right, let's get into the show. But first, if you want to support the show, there's a couple ways you can do that. So this is one of my free episodes. I do 2 free episodes every other week. And then every other week, I do a premium content show that people subscribe and pay for. You can do that through Patreon or wherever you listen to podcasts. The other way you can support me is just if you watch this on YouTube, just click the subscribe button on YouTube. That is very different than subscribing to the premium content because you're not actually paying for anything when you subscribe on YouTube. That just means you're following the show. You'll automatically get the new shows as they get released, and it really helps us video podcasters. A final way that you can support the show is just leaving a rating or review. That means the world to us podcasters, and I appreciate your support. All right, everyone. I am going to try to get through this show. My allergies, again, are completely out of control, and I am not feeling my best right now. I have 0 makeup on. I can't believe I'm going to put this video podcast out for public consumption, but I will be. So let's start with my mental health check-in. Now, my mental health is often tied to my physical health, and I don't know if I'm also getting sick on top of the allergies, but it is not a good vibe right now internally with this eye right here, my left eyeball. I literally want to scratch it out of my head right now. If you're watching this, it looks, you can't see it as much right now because I have glasses on, but it is just beet red. It's smaller than the other eye. It is ugly. I am not attractive, and it feels like it's just swollen and sticky and wet with tears and runniness, and it's the worst. I don't handle it well when I have pain or sickness or injury. I'm a baby, and so you guys get to listen to me bitch about my my ailments right now. Lucky you. But anyway, ironically, I was so excited to be fully present for my mom's visit. She just left yesterday. I dropped her off at the airport, and we did have an amazing time. But the first 2 days, I was just a tortured soul, like trying not to itch my eyeball, sitting there at night with this wet disinfectant pad on it, just trying to get it to stop itching and watering. It was just so annoying. So luckily though, on Monday, I discovered these allergy pills that I had in our little medicine cabinet. And I had been just trying to use drops and this Flonase that I had been recommended by an allergy doctor. And that did work. It helps a little bit, but it just was not working enough. And so I did take one of these allergy pills, and at least the last 2 days, it worked like a charm. All my symptoms cleared up for the most part. I was able to be present and feel good. And so the last 2 days that she was here were much better than the first 2 days. But oh my God, I am just struggling. And I'm so mad because I went to the farmer's market wanting to get some of this, some bee spray. I was hoping that they had some sort of bee allergy spray that wouldn't have all the sugar in it. And so I did find at the farmer's market this bee, the local bee people. And they actually had this allergy mix, and it had local honey, it had bee pollen, and then it had this propolis, this tincture. And I don't know why I didn't just buy that. I think it was because I was so focused on getting something that didn't have sugar, because I already had a big thing of local honey in my cupboard. So I'm like, well, let me just get this tincture. They had one bottle of tincture. And so I buy this tincture and I immediately take some of it. Oh my, it was the most disgusting shit I've ever tried in my life. It was like there was pure ethanol in it. I mean, it was an alcohol base. OMG, it tasted like, I don't know, like toxic sewage. It was disgusting. And I had meant to get a big dropper full, and I only ended up with like a little bit of it, but so I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'll put this in my local honey. And I'm like, why didn't I just get the allergy mix? So I might go back and get it. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what to do, because I would like a natural remedy. I've been trying to avoid taking pills because I heard that some of them can cause dementia. And I'm like, I don't want that. So I don't know. I got to figure this out, because I don't want to feel like this it's the best time of year to be in Arizona. And March and April really are like such great months. And this is when the allergies come. So I don't know if anyone out there gets them as bad as I'm getting them right now, but it is not fun. So anyway, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to use this bee stuff that I got. I tried putting it in some of my honey and putting it in like almond butter and dipping an apple in it. I was able to get it down, but can I use the whole bottle? I don't know. But we did have an amazing time. We did save. So on the Saturday, so she flew in on Friday, made a great dinner, which I'll talk about soon, and had a nice bottle of wine, and we just talked and caught up. On Saturday, we went to the farmer's market. We got a special treat, which I'll talk about soon. And then what else did we do on Saturday? We did a little shopping, and then we did that Legree class. So that Legree class was that like very intense Pilates class. And my mother was very like worried about it. I knew she's like stronger than I am. I swear to God, she's in such good shape. I should have pushed myself more in that class. Usually I'm so sore when the next couple days, I was a little bit sore, but I just wimped out. I was constantly resting in this class, which anyway, it's such a waste of money, because the whole point is to push yourself in this class. But anyway, she did great. So we took that class on that Saturday, and then we went out for a nice dinner that night, which I'll talk about soon. And then Sunday, we went hiking. So I found these trails near my home in Fountain Hills, and they were the best trails. I get very nervous about getting lost. I have a terrible sense of direction. My mom also has a terrible sense of direction. So I was not about to go on any big, huge hike. I just did not want to do that. But I had looked up Fountain Hills hikes, because Fountain Hills is right down the road from me. It's really beautiful there. There's lots of like big hills and cliffs, and there was this new community that was built. I've never been there, but they have this little trailhead that you can park at. There's a bathroom, and they have all these cute little trails that wind all along these like hills, I guess you'd call them. And they were perfect. It wasn't too intense. It was very scenic, great views, beautiful, desert landscape, but you could see civilization for most of it. So it wasn't like I was worried that we'd get lost and die in the desert. So that was nice. So we did that. Granted, my allergies were freaking out. This was on Sunday. And then we got back, had some lunch, and then went shopping at the Lululemon outlet. I found nothing. It's hit or miss. Sometimes I go there and I like so many things and I'm trying not to spend too much money. And I had gift cards to spend this time. So I was definitely, but I always want to buy something that I'm going to wear a lot, multiple times, get a lot of use out of. And I also want very, very, very comfortable, soft material. I am not getting stuck with two of those scratchy, terrible shirts that I got the last time I went. So there was a couple things I tried on that were cute, but I want to be able to wear them to work and out. I want versatility. So I didn't find anything this time. My mom got a couple things. And then on Monday, let's see, Monday we went to Acrosante, which is it's this thing called arcology, which is the fusion of ecology and architecture. And it's this, I guess you'd call it a village. It's this village that was built. I think it was started back in the 70s, and it was built by, people that kind of hippie types, artists, philosophers, people that wanted to bring people together and utilize, the architecture to also fuel togetherness and support environmental practices. And so it's this community. I think there's around 100 people that live on site, and they have all these different structures that capture rainwater, and they have a farm there, and they grow all kinds of produce, and they make all kinds of different wares. There's a bunch of artists that live, and they make ceramic and bronze statues and bells and all kinds of different pieces of art and pottery. And it was very interesting. It was about an hour away, and I'd heard about it. They were trying to limit kind of the outside world. They were trying to limit the need for automobiles. And so it's just something that I had heard about that I wanted to check out. So we got a tour, and it was really beautiful there. So that was an interesting little trek on Monday. And then we went that night and had a nice cocktail. We went and had an Aperol Spritz at this steakhouse that had a nice bar. It's called the Americana or Americano, and it's in North Scottsdale. And they had a beautiful bar, and my mom was kind of wanting an Aperol Spritz. She's like, "Have you ever had an Aperol Spritz?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I've had them. I think Stassi Schroeder from Vanderpump Rules made them popular like years ago." And so I saw that this place had them on happy hour. So I'm like, "Oh, let's go for happy hour. Let's have a nice cocktail together." So, and luckily on Monday I felt better. Like my eye was fine. So I was able to actually put makeup on and go out, and we had a nice glass of wine, picked up some good food, and headed back. And then the last day, I saved the best for last. We had a spa day, and I had been looking around. I wanted to go to Sivana, which I'd been to before. That's that really beautiful luxury spa that has group fitness studios, all kinds of awesome classes, all the amenities you'd want in a spa. Caroline Stanbury from Ladies of London and Housewives of Dubai, she had a retreat there one year. And it's up in Carefree, which has all these boulders and rock formations. It's gorgeous. But they were completely booked, and I think the Omni was booked. There were all these nice spas that I already knew of that were already booked. So that was very disappointing. I did find one close to me though that was perfect. So we went to the Scottsdale Grand Hyatt Resort, and they had this spa Avanya. And the nice thing is they gave a local discount. So that was nice, unexpected. But they had all the amenities I wanted. They had a mineral pool. which was gorgeous. The way that it was designed, there was this grand staircase and this little, almost like, it looked like a little pond. It looked like a pond in Maine, but it was separated from the mineral pool. So you were, as you were paddling around in the mineral pool, you could see just this really pretty pond area that was separated from you. And there were these big comfy chairs, and my mom and I got this perfect little setup in the corner, and we were able to just relax and enjoy the sun and palm trees and just sip on some ice water and swim in the pool occasionally. It wasn't too hot. It was in the high 70s, so we really needed the sun to not be cold. But it was so nice to just relax and hear the birds chirp and not have anywhere I need to be. It was amazing. So we did that first. So after the pool, my mom was a little chilly, so we went up to, they had a hot tub, and then beside the hot tub, there was a cold plunge. Now, you all know how I feel about cold plunges. I do not like a cold plunge. It's not for me. I'm more of a heat kind of girl. But if there's a situation where there's a cold plunge and a hot tub right next to each other, and it was out in the sun, like it was in a beautiful outdoor area. So that was also kind of nice. Like having the sun on me, it was a different vibe in me wanting to go into that cold plunge, because I was, you'd kind of get a little, like I went into the hot tub and I got hot, and then I'm like, okay, I really need to cool down. So I get out and I was like, okay, I'm going to just run in and run back out. So I did. And I filmed it. So I'll post this on Instagram pretty soon. But I literally just ran in, dunked myself, ran out, ran right into the hot tub. I did that twice. So, and it was nice. It was fun. I wasn't challenging myself to stay in there for 30 seconds or 2 minutes or however long people do the cold plunge. It was literally just a juxtaposition of temperature and an experience, and using all the amenities that they had. So I love that. So I did that, and then I went in and I washed my face, and they had this eucalyptus steam room, and the steam was like, it was so thick you couldn't see in there, which if I'm going to do a steam room, and I'm not much of a steam room kind of person, but I did, again, want to use all the amenities. So I went in there, sprayed some of the eucalyptus, and just steamed for like 10 minutes. Then I went into the hot sauna, warmed up in there and dried off. And then I went in for my massage. And my massage was incredible. I booked a deep tissue, but as soon as I got in there, I'm like, I really want a Swedish with firm pressure, because I don't want you to hurt me, because deep tissue massages hurt. So she gave me an incredible massage. It was everything I needed. It was funny because she got to this shoulder and she's like, did you injure your shoulder? And I'm like, how did you know? And she's like, I can just tell it's trying to protect itself. And she was, I love it when a therapist when they're like working on your body, they can feel certain, knots or injuries, or when something's off. To me, that's the sign of a very good massage therapist. And so she was really working that area, working out some of the kinks, kind of stretching it, working it a little bit. It was awesome. So she did a very, very good job. It was worth every penny. And I think after everything, so the local discount was nice because, it was a high-end spa. So, you're going to spend around $250 or so for and that includes tip, right? So that's great. And but it was a good, we got there around noontime. They validated my parking, and then we left at 4. So it was, 4 hours of, half a day in just luxury and spa experiences and good smells and relaxation. Oh, just heaven. That is is how I want to live my life. Okay. That is how I want to have more of those experiences. Eventually, once a quarter would be lovely. But right now it's like a once a year thing. Eventually I like to get to once a quarter. I'm working my way up to twice a year. So we'll see. But this was really nice. It's been a very long time since I've had a massage. And it was just a very nice way to end the trip. And then we went and had a nice glass of wine, got ready, and then had a nice dinner out. So that was very good for my mental health. I slept in. So the Saturday that she was here, I wasn't able to sleep in because we had the Legree class. So, and coming off my Friday, I got myself up. Sunday, we got up early too to meet Chad's parents for brunch. So my mom finally met Chad's parents. So that was nice. And that went well. They got along really well. His mom's so sweet and got along with my mom. And then Monday and Tuesday, I was able to just sleep. It was so nice. It was so, so nice because I didn't do my personal training and I was in heaven just sleeping. It was a beautiful thing. So actually Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And then this morning I got to sleep in. So tomorrow, Friday and Saturday, I do have to get up early for my training clients. But my boss, Jose, who I've been working under, he wants my last day to be Saturday. So he has this new trainer that started who's starting to onboard my clients. And I think it's just getting a little bit confusing of who has who. And I think he doesn't want to have to pay another rent for another trainer, which I totally get. So I told him, I'm like, if you have somebody that wants to start early, no problem. So this Saturday will be my last day as a personal trainer, at least working for Jose at Self-Made and Fitness Temple. I may eventually do something else on the side, online with clients. I may do something else on the side with it. I am going to keep my certifications active. But I am looking forward to not getting up at 3 or 4 in the morning anymore. So overall, between having a good visit with my mom, the end in sight this week for personal training, it's been a pretty good mental health week overall. So that is my mental health check-in of the week. I hope all of you have had a great mental health week yourselves. All right, let's get into an unhealthy habits segment. Now, I want to play this clip of Remy Bader. She posted this on Instagram, and I have to say, I absolutely love her honesty. This is exactly what, when I heard that she was having weight loss surgery, and the way that she had gained her weight was binging. And when you do have a weight loss surgery, you drastically change your habits. You're forced to, right? But some of those habits, I'm sure, I always hypothesize that some of those habits are really hard to break, right? The desire to overeat, right? Because some nights I look forward to it. I'm planning on overeating, like watching a good movie and having this indulgent meal. And that's like my night out. And I get overly full and I'm like going to bed. But to me, that's a good time, and I think for some people, that love to eat, that enjoy eating, that love that indulgence, that get joy from it, they feel the same way. And one of the reasons that she chose to not have the band put on is she knew that she could eat her way through that band. And that's what her doctor told her. Her doctor's like, no, you're just going to gain all the weight back if you do that. And so what I love about this video is she's showing it all. She's showing so here, let me play the clip. Here's the clip.
Come throughout the food with me that made me gain 150 pounds. No, I'm actually crashing out right now. I'm noticing that the moments that I do binge or try to binge, because I can't physically binge as much as I used to since I had surgery. This is weird because this has only been recently. I don't know what's going on that this is happening again. Is when like I have a really enjoyable time. Like I was just obviously like in Spain. I did a brand trip. I extended with my friends, had the best time, couldn't stop laughing for days, like all good vibes. And like today I've just been like really tired, out of it, jet lagged. And I'm someone that loves being alone, but I think like it's almost like the crash of like so much fun and then like, okay, what now? I actually crave this time of being alone and in silence. But then when I have that, something in the mind makes me want to order things that used to sabotage me and make me sick. When I was in Spain, you know, some of the girls actually, I told them, I was like, every time I like would get sick after I had something fried, and I was like, you guys can tell me if you want next time, like just remind me not to do that. Cause like, and they actually did. And they were like, that's going to make you sick. And that was helpful, but it's no one's responsibility but my own. But like something, like I realized that when I was leaving, I was like, okay, fried food, no. Like there's certain other things I can eat that maybe some other people can't eat, but with fried food, like that makes me sick. I know that a fried chicken in here is going to make me sick. I know Alfredo's going to make me nauseous. And then I ordered what I used to order when I used to binge eat the same thing all the time from this one place. Was these like triangle fried mozzarella stick things. I ate all those, they went down, and then I started eating this. I got sick, and then I started sitting for a while and getting more nauseous. It came up, I'll say. I don't know what I could say on here and what I can't. But really frustrated, really mad at myself, in a bad mood. I feel like after I do that, then I'm like, I want to tell someone. It was funny because that's how well my friends know me. I texted one of my best friends and literally just like sent her this. And she goes, Lena's question mark. Like she remembered from years ago, like what my binge food was that made me so sick. She's like, why'd you do that? And I said, I don't know. But then I told my sister and then I told my mom. It's like the same cycle of like you wanting to be in silence, turn off your phone, don't talk to anyone. And then once you're done and you feel bad about yourself and you feel sick, you want to vent about it. And then like you start like calling your dietitian and making appointments. It's like, you know, why? Whatever, I'm not gonna like let it ruin my like day, night, week. I just am like a little upset right now. I'm gonna try doing something nice for myself for the rest of the night and not crash out. Just thought I would share what I'm going through at the moment. I didn't throw it out, and to be honest, I was literally just going to have another bite. No, we're throwing it out together, so I stopped. Oh, I can't even believe I'm saying this, but I used to throw it out and literally later, like obviously if it was like clean or like there wasn't other stuff in it, or if I had the top on it, I would like go back and get it out of the garbage and eat more. What the fuck? Anyways, we're throwing this out and we're not doing that. And I'm flipping it over so that I have no choice. Okay, I did it.
So you see how she's ordering the food that she used to love to binge on, right? She's like, I had one of those nights. I wanted to kind of stay in. She's like, and she's trying to like understand why she's almost like self-sabotaging herself. And she's like, and then she's talking about how she ate it, she got sick. She ate some, she got sick. And how difficult that must be. You can't just enjoy yourself. You have to think about these repercussions. You're forced to because your body physically cannot handle it and gets ill. And I don't know about you, but I hate being nauseous. I hate it when I eat so much that I get sick full. It's a very, very, very uncomfortable feeling. And I think a lot of people are having those experiences. People just regularly on GLP-1s, people that have had the surgery, certainly Remy. And it's a very, like what she's dealing with here in this clip is very, very real. It's raw, it's honest. And I appreciate it. I appreciate her sharing this because to me, it's fascinating. And that is one of the things that I think people don't maybe think about when they have this surgery. I think she did. I think she did know overall what she was getting herself into and the drastic changes she would be forced to make. I don't think she made the decision lightly. But I mean, can you imagine how hard that would be to not just be able to live how you used to live and just, have one of those lazy nights where you just, have those indulgences. You just can't do it the same way, which again is partly why she did something so drastic, because she didn't want to return to how heavy she had been. She didn't want to be able to fit that much food inside her body, right? But anyway, I did think that was a very fascinating clip, super honest. Thank you, Remy, for sharing it. We love you at the Diet Obsessed podcast. And that is my unhealthy habit segment of the week. All right, everyone, let's get into a surgical situation. Now, because I always talk about how I want to get this and I want to get that, and I'm so excited for my blepharoplasty, I also think that it's also good to share the really scary side of surgery and the decision to get something invasive done, to go under anesthesia, to go under the knife. It's not something that should ever be taken lightly. Kanye West's mom died on the operating table just for a cosmetic surgery. Joan Rivers died because of a cosmetic surgery. And then you see a lot of people that have complications, botched jobs, all of that. Now, and of course, I'm obsessed with true crime. So I saw this on Law and Crime. It's a podcast show. I'm sorry, a YouTube channel that I follow. And so this is about a woman. She was an influencer. She documented her entire journey, and she was going in for a mommy makeover. Now, she was very hesitant to do it because of the cost. Like, she did not want to spend that much money. Apparently she had gone in for the consultation, was planning on having it, ended up canceling because of not wanting to spend that much money. I think they might have given her some sort of discount or done something. I think she had blogged about it. She had done a video about how expensive it was. And I think maybe the doctors maybe worked something out with her, maybe social media wise, or anyway, they made it so that she did end up moving forward with it. So she ends up dying after surgery. Now, the surgery, what was fascinating to me is with this story is the surgeon himself filed the first lawsuit. And I'm like, why is the surgeon filing a lawsuit? Because you assume it was the surgeon's fault, right? And that's just a natural assumption. Let's try to say that word. You have somebody that goes under for a very serious procedure. Mommy makeover is often tummy tuck, fat grafting, breast reduction, lift, implants, whatever. It's a lot. And so you think about some complications from surgery. But then as the show went on, you learned that she came out of surgery just fine. And she was put into, aftercare, whatever they call it. And the doctor leaves the facility. And apparently what happened after that is the nurses that ended up taking care of her after that overdosed her on fentanyl and Dilaudid, which are heavy duty opiates. And apparently she had a real sensitivity to opiates. And she was given, I think, something like 10 times the dose that they used during the surgery. And then after that, she started failing. Apparently the nurse called 911, but there was no urgency. They didn't tell the 911 people that there was a sensitivity to opiates, that they had given her this heavy dose of it. So even after they realized that this woman was having major complications, the way that this aftercare team, and I guess it's this contracted group from I think it's a nursing group that's also tied in with the anesthesiologists. And so it's those practitioners plus the nurses that are contracted at this surgery center to provide this aftercare. And apparently one of the nurses, the one that gave the fatal dose, she had been fired for negligence, for negligence on the job, for not caring for her patients, for, I think, like sleeping on the job. I mean, all of these infractions. She had been fired in the past and then rehired by a family member. And then after the fact, there's all these after documents that are coming in, like notes were changed and all of this really shady stuff is happening. So this is going to be an ongoing lawsuit. This happened very recently. The outcome hasn't been discovered yet. But there is incredible corruption in this situation. And it's very scary. I mean, there's having worked not in the medical field myself, but working and networking with a lot of nurses when I was working in senior care with my last company. I met incredible nurses. Like, nurses do so much for this world. They're overworked. We owe so much to nurses. And there's amazing nurses. And then just like in any field, there's negligent nurses, right? And I very rarely, very, very rarely, I would come across some of the bad ones. And I would always be shocked because they're literally caring for people's lives. And that's the scary situation when you have those bad apples that are in these positions that can cause a lot of harm like this. So anyway, I just wanted to, because I always tout the benefits of surgery, and of course I talk about what I want, it's always good to see these cautionary tales and to say, okay, like, do your research. And again, is this something that this woman could have researched? I don't know. I mean, again, these are the things that you don't think about. Anyway, that is my surgical situation of the week. All right, let's get into my healthy habits. So I talked about the Legree class. I talked about some of the hiking that we've done. The spa that we went to had a really nice gym. So I had a great workout there before we went in for the massage. I did have, because I ate pretty heavy when my mom was here, I did tend to have a light morning. So I did my, just my protein shake. Some days I did a couple of the lighter protein shakes, like just the chocolate and green tea, and then a matcha with green tea, just very simple. Because as I mentioned on my last episode, I'm kind of getting sick of my superfood smoothies. So I think I did 2 total superfood smoothies, or maybe 3 in the past week instead of 6. So I'm cutting it basically in half. Now, I am proud of myself for the meal that I ordered at Sophia's. So I had to take my mom to Sophia's, which is that incredible Italian restaurant that I'm obsessed with. They have homemade pasta. So I typically will get a pasta dish when I go. And I did want pasta this time. But I also like to try new things. And the nice thing about Sophia's is they keep some of the favorites, right? They have some standard things that have been on the menu since I went there the first time. And I've had those things, right? The short rib, tagliatelle, the white clam, the vongole with the white clam sauce. I wanted to get that. I was kind of craving that. I didn't. But I had talked about previously that there's times that I go out to dinner, and of course I never want to order anything healthy, right? I want something indulgent, something that I don't normally have, and that's why I usually will go for a pasta, pizza, whatever. And sometimes though, that's kind of detracted from my experience. Like I talked about that time that I went to this restaurant in Augusta, and this ahi tuna bowl really sounded amazing. And I ended up getting like the fried chicken waffle dish instead, just because it was more decadent and indulgent. But when I looked at, my mom had gotten the ahi tuna bowl, and I'm like, oh, that looks so good. It was so fresh with all these different flavors and crunch, and then I didn't enjoy my fried chicken and waffle heavy dish. So I've had those experiences where I'm like, man, I should have just, that's what I really wanted. And I held myself back just because it was like somewhat healthier. And it's funny because some people will do the opposite. Some people will try to order the healthy thing because it's like better for them and they really want the indulgent thing. So I'm a little bit opposite of that. But what I've tried to promise myself that I would do in the future is when something really looks good, even if it is quote unquote a healthier option, I'm just going to order it because if that's what I want, that's what I want. So in this situation, I'm looking over the menu and there's two dishes that stood out that I've never tried before that I'm like, both of these sound really good and different and new. So one of them was a squid ink pasta with baby scallops and a spicy red sauce. Now, the reason I was considering this is because I do love squid ink pasta. It's so delicious. And that would have gotten my pasta fix, and it was homemade. And I do love a red sauce. Now, some red sauces are better than others. And I sometimes worry about ordering a red sauce out at a restaurant because sometimes it's just not good and then it ruins the whole dish. I did trust Sophia's for red sauces, but I also don't love scallops. And now when I hear a baby scallop, if they're literally like the size of a dime, literally that small, I love them. They're because Trader Joe's had this, I haven't gotten in a long time, but they had this like seafood with a red sauce thing that I used to get. And it had these teeny tiny baby scallops that I actually really loved. They didn't taste fishy. They didn't taste like a scallop, but they just had this meaty texture that I really loved. And so I asked like what size these scallops were. And she said they were more like the size of like a large quarter, $half, probably like a quarter. So that is considered small for scallops because some of the scallops are really massive. And they were too big. I'm like, I already knew right away, I'm not going to like the texture or the flavor because I'm just not a huge scallop person in general. So I'm like, if I get this dish, I'm probably going to be disappointed. But it's different. It's new. I haven't tried it before. It's got my pasta in it. So I was considering ordering that. The other dish I was considering ordering was this filet of sole. And it came over this Parmesan risotto with artichoke hearts in this Parmesan butter sauce. And I'm like, And I'm not a fish person. And I never order fish in Arizona. I kind of promised myself that I'm done doing that. But I have really good memories of filet of sole. My mom used to make filet of sole when I was a kid, and the way she made it was absolutely delicious. And my memory of it was that it was very thin and breaded. And I'm like, okay, that'll make it delicious. So I did ask the waitress, I was like, is the filet of sole, is it breaded? And she's like, it's lightly breaded. So even though I don't normally order fish, even though I wanted pasta, I'm like, I'm going to order this dish. I think I'll really love it. And I did. It was so yummy. The fish was perfectly cooked. It was very light. It was thin, very lightly breaded. The artichoke hearts were perfectly tender. The risotto wasn't as creamy normally as a risotto is. And it was a little bit more dry. It almost seemed like rice, but it was very good. It was very flavorful. I made the right choice. So I'm very, very happy about that. So got that. And then I also took my mom to Mendocino Farms. And she said that she had the absolute best sandwich she's ever had in her life. The first thing that caught her attention on the menu was the caprese sandwich, which I was hoping she would order. Because sometimes my mom will just order the salad because it's a healthy option and she likes to order something light. But that was the first thing that she kind of looked at. And so we're up at the counter and she's like, is this cheese melted? Can you melt it? And they made an exception for her. They melted the cheese for her. And she said that it was the best sandwich she's ever had in her entire life. So that was awesome. I'm so happy that she liked it. And then Chad got this Peruvian steak sandwich. I didn't try it. I got this avocado and quinoa superfood ensalada wrap. So this had avocado, roasted corn, black beans, jicama, red onions, quinoa, millet, superfood crunchies. I'm not sure exactly what those are, but kale, romaine, cilantro, cotija cheese, and a chipotle vinaigrette. It was 690 calories, which actually is much less than the last one that I got. I got that crispy rice wrap. And this one was very good. The chipotle vinaigrette, the only thing I asked to not be included in this one was the grape tomatoes. So I didn't mention that there was grape tomatoes because I did ask for those out. But I even ate the chipotle vinaigrette. Again, if it said aioli, I'd be out. But when they say vinaigrette, it's not like this creamy mayo-y thing. So I did enjoy it. So that was really good. So yeah, so had some, healthier choices, but still, again, ate delicious, delicious food combinations when my mom visited. Anyway, those are or were my healthy habits of the week. I hope all of you have had some delicious healthy habits this week yourselves. All right, let's get into my tasty treats. Now, I certainly had a lot of tasty treats. I'm at the heaviest I've been, so it's fine. It's happy weight and delicious food weight. So anyway, when she got in, I think I talked about this before, I made larb moo. I've perfected this recipe and it's very easy for me to make. So I wanted to make that. I knew she'd love it because it's spicy. She likes ground pork. And she'd also been asking for egg rolls. So I made her homemade egg rolls, made this larb moo. It turned out amazing. And then we had my homemade ginger ice cream. Now I made her the first night we had the one that I had tried before because I knew how delicious it was. I didn't know if I'd get lazy and not make the other one that I made. So I did make this one first and she loved it. I'd gotten these butter waffle cookies because I didn't think she'd want a sugar cone. She's typically likes to eat it out of a cup, but I knew she might want something else. So I got the chocolate sprinkles and I got these butter waffle cookies, which went perfect with this ice cream. So she took 2 of the butter waffle cookies and kind of broke them up into the ice cream and just loved it. So that was good. And then now the other ice cream, I did make a cup, I think the next night. The other one was the one that had the condensed sweetened milk. And it had the regular milk, some cream, and a lot of spices. It was good. I mean, you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of the taste of Cinnamon Toast Crunch. So it was very milky and cinnamony, but not as creamy. It did not have the consistency, that thick, sturdy, creamy consistency that the other one had. And I think the trick to that other one was the instant pudding, if I'm being honest. Not that that's obviously has some processed shit in it. But it did make it really delicious. The molasses in the other one made a huge difference in the color, the richness, the depth of flavor. So anyway, I did like that first batch way better. And I'm sure I'm going to make another. I do still have some cream and some milk that I need to make another batch just so that doesn't go to waste. So I'll probably make that this weekend. And then, so after the Mendocino Farms meal, Chad got a lemon cheesecake cookie, which I didn't get to try, but my mom ordered a ginger molasses cookie that was to die for. OMG, I need to find a recipe and make some of those myself. So yummy. And I think I might make a homemade chimichurri sauce and try to make their chimichurri bacon and steak sandwich. I think I can do that. I'm going to try. I need to look up a recipe for chimichurri. So that's to come down the line. Let's see. We did get a pizza to share, the spicy, what's it called? It's like that spicy salami pizza at Sophia's. And then what else? Oh, so for the brunch that we had with Chad's parents, I ordered these breakfast sliders. So we went to Chompy's, which is they have decadent, huge meals. It's a Jewish bakery right down the street from me. They have incredible, incredible food. My mom ended up getting some arugula later, that pastry, Jewish pastry. And what else did she get? Oh, she got that big New York style coffee cake with that thick crumble on top. Oh my God. There's still a half a piece that she didn't eat. She didn't eat her second half piece. So I will be eating that, I'm sure, later. Adding to my weight gain. Who cares? I'll get back on track soon. And then what else? Oh, so I ended up getting these breakfast sliders. So it had a sausage patty. So it was these, how do you pronounce it? Chala? It's not chala, it's chala. Challah rolls? Challah? Anyway, CHALLACH. Anyway, it's embarrassing myself before the Jewish community here. But anyway, that kind of bread, that Jewish bread. And then there was a potato pancake, very low carb. It was a potato pancake, a fried egg, and a sausage patty. And they gave you a side of gravy. I didn't use the gravy. And then a side of hash browns because there aren't enough carbs. Between the potato pancake, the bread, and the hash browns on the side, we went hiking after. So it was a nice fuel for my hike. So got that nice heavy breakfast in. And then, so the last night she took me to we went to a really good Mexican restaurant, this place called Loco Patron. Now with Mexican food, I really don't get that adventurous because there aren't a lot of things I like. Like I need crunch. And I find personally that a lot of the food in Mexican cuisine has a lot of soft textures. Like you look at like enchiladas or burritos, they're all, street tacos with the flour corn tortilla. There just isn't enough crunch. And so like usually the chips and salsa, if I'm eating street tacos and just like a flour tortilla, I'll use the chips and salsa. Like I'll take a bite of the street taco and then eat a chip with some salsa and guac on it for that crunch that I need. But this place, Loco Patron, has these crunchy shredded chicken tacos that are to die for. They're award winners. You can get it with other stuff in it. I always get it with the chicken just because, I don't know, the shredded chicken that they make is so delicious. So had that, had a little bit of the rice, but their salsa is the best salsa I've ever had in my life. So I love their chips and salsa and had a little guac. So that was super yummy. We went to get ice cream after that. I didn't love my ice cream choice. I ate this apple pie ice cream, which does sound incredibly delicious. I think they used an artificial apple flavor in it, along with natural apples too. But there was just something, it was almost too strong. There was like some sort of artificial flavor that was just too strong. It just didn't taste natural, but it was good. I did take her finally to try mochi donuts. So she finally got that experience. We got some delicious donuts. And then the last thing is when we were at the farmer's market, I did want to find something to nosh on. So we ended up stopping at this tamale place that had these tamales that were stuffed with spicy pork and then had this green salsa over it. I've never been a huge tamale person, but I don't know. This one was really good. It's very authentic. I did get Chad again, because of his beer focus, I got him this steak and Guinness pot pie. This guy from England was selling them. So I did get him that. So anyway, those were my tasty treats of the week. I hope all of you have had some delicious tasty treats this week yourselves. All right, let's get into my podcast review. Now, I have been wanting to hear about this story for ages. And I finally heard most of it on Heal Squad. So Heal Squad from Maria Menounos, she had on guest Jenny McCarthy. And I'd read somewhere that Jenny McCarthy's teeth were literally falling out of her mouth and she had growths on her eyeballs. And I'm like, what is happening with her? Because you see images of her on TV and she looks beautiful. She looks perfect. And how old is Jenny McCarthy? How old is Jenny McCarthy? She's 53 years old. She looks amazing. So there were two shows on Heal Squad that Jenny McCarthy was on. And I started out listening and watching the first one where actually she was talking about her allergies and how she's used local honey to defeat these allergies. And I'm like, well, it's not working for me. I guess I haven't eaten enough, but she was talking about how she goes to her local farm. When she moved back to Chicago, she was just hit with all these allergies. And then she started using the local honey. And she said within a month, it really helped her. So maybe I'll go back and get that allergy stuff from that farmer's market so I can actually eat their allergy mix. But anyway, she was just talking about, using aluminum-free baking soda to clean vegetables and fruits. She's talking about the peptides that she uses and how she said this thing. She's like, RFK is making peptides Schedule 1 to make them more accessible. And I'm like, Schedule 1? I'm like, doesn't that make them more restrictive? And so what she meant was category 1, which is different than scheduling. And so I looked it up because I'm like, what is she talking about? So apparently in 2023, 19 peptides were moved to category 2, which is prohibited for compounding. And this was due to safety concerns. In 2026, 14 of those are being moved back to category 1, which does allow for legal compounding. So when it's category 1, they are allowed to legally be compounded at compounding pharmacies if you have a prescription. So anyway, when you have a celebrity that goes on and talks about these things, obviously you have to take it with a grain of salt because they might misspeak or say the wrong thing, or, she's obviously not a doctor, but she's done a lot. She's her own guinea pig, right? She tries these things and then reports to the public, like what the results are. And I do love that she's very honest about these things, but it does speak to do your own research when it comes to actually using these things. Yeah, because I looked up if the, FDA's peptide categories are the same as drug schedules, and they're not. There's 2 different systems managed by 2 different federal agencies for different purposes. The FDA compounding categories, the FDA uses categories 1, 2, and 3 to regulate compounding pharmacies, specifically which bulk drug substances or raw ingredients they're allowed to mix into custom medications. And that's been the big controversy with the GLP-1s. And now the FDA is trying to put a stop to these compounding pharmacies selling these GLP-1s and some of the peptides too. Like you heard that Dr. Craig Conover can't do injected copper peptides, whereas some of the nurse practitioners that I work with now are doing that. So, but again, the FDA, it's impossible for the FDA to crack down on all these different med spas and nurse practitioner offices that are opening up across the country. Everyone's doing it. So it's just the really big renowned ones, I guess, that are getting the microscope put on them. So category 1, it's allowed for use in compounding because they are currently under evaluation and meet certain safety and data criteria. Category 2 is banned from compounding because the FDA has identified significant safety risks. So she does the NAD. Every rich person today is doing the NAD injections. She's doing this one for leaky gut. She does one for her immune system. She does this MOTS-C for her mitochondria. That was when I stopped listening to this first one because it was more like beauty stuff. It wasn't what I wanted to hear about. Then I started listening to the other episode, the longer episode, where she gets into her mouth issues, her eyeball issues. So this was pretty fascinating. So the last time she had sat down with Maria was when she was on her way to what they call a biological dentist. A biological dentist is a holistic dentist. It's a licensed dental professional who focuses on the connection between oral health and total body wellness. They use non-toxic, biocompatible materials that provide safe mercury removal and prioritize minimally invasive treatments to minimize toxic impact. They focus on treating the root cause rather than just symptoms, often using ozone therapy and nutritional counseling. So Jenny was on her way to visit a biological dentist when she had met with Maria the last time. And it was because she had an infected root canal. And she didn't realize that root canals didn't last forever. And I'm very lucky. I've never had a root canal in my life. But she said that most people, like some people, they can have a root canal that lasts 30 years. Other people, it can last 10 years. They really don't know how long it'll last on a specific person. But she said she was 20 when she got her first root canal. And she's like, here I am at 50 and my face blew up. She said, I got an infected tooth and they asked if I wanted to remove it. And at that time, she had just heard that you're not supposed to have teeth pulled, that you're supposed to try to keep as many teeth in your head as you possibly can. So she's like, no, don't remove it. She's like, just clean it out. And then, so they did that, but they didn't get all of the infection when they did that. So 3 weeks later, she said she was on the Mass Center and she's like, her face blew up again. And so what they did, they ended up pulling the tooth because it was so infected, but they didn't get the entire infection out. And so she had bone grafted on top of it. And she's like, oh, I'm on my merry way, but, thinking that she was going to be good. But instead, she'd had bone grafted on top of an infection. So she's like, a few months later, I had a full-blown jawbone infection. I mean, can you imagine how painful that would be? I mean, me with my eyeball that's itchy. I am so uncomfortable with just my little eyeball itchiness and allergies. Can you imagine this, like a jawbone infection? She said that's when I finally went to a biological dentist, Dr. Ben in Santa Clarita, and she had this thing called a cone beam scan. And what that does is it shows any infections that could potentially be brewing in your mouth. And she said what happens that people don't know is when you have your wisdom teeth pulled, a lot of times these little pools develop where you had those teeth pulled. And they're basically just these little pools of toxins and heavy metals and bacteria. And you can actually see them on this scan. And when she got this scan, she had 3 of them. So she had 3 wisdom teeth pulled and she had those brewing pools of infection or bacteria. Now again, lucky, I've never had wisdom teeth pulled. Like my problem with my teeth is like they're not big enough. Like I have too much space in my mouth. So when I go to get my Invisalign eventually, they'll just be really pushing them together. And I think fixing my jaw, my bite. But so they did what's called a root cavitation She had another root canal that got infected. And she was supposed to get implants, but at this point she had 8 surgeries and she just kept getting infections. And she's like, what is happening? Then, oh my God, this literally freaks me out. She started getting growths, okay? Growths that she says were the size of the top of an eraser filled with pus. So disgusting. Like a big white head, pus-filled eraser head. That was growing on her eyeballs. Can you imagine? I literally, it boggles my mind how someone could tolerate that. I don't know what I'd do. You'd have to knock me out. I would be beside myself. I cannot imagine. I mean, just again, my itchy, runny eye, and I just want to hide from the world and not do anything. Can you imagine growths on your eyeballs, pus-filled growths, and then your jawbone is infected? I cannot imagine the discomfort and pain this woman was in for months. Can you imagine? Oh, I keep saying this. It's horrific. To me, this is my worst nightmare. So she said her eyes were oozing with an infection. Her mouth was infected. She's walking around in sunglasses. She's like, they tried to put the implants in, but the implants were rejected. So that's what I had heard about, that her teeth were literally falling out of her head. And I'm like, oh my God. And when I had just heard high level of this, I was thinking, oh my God, this must be tied to her diet. And because every time I used to listen to her show that was on Sirius, she didn't have the best eating behaviors. Like, she didn't have the best nutrition. She would kind of like eat Taco Bell. And again, here I am, of course, food obsessed, thinking that all of this is tied to her nutrition. It's not. But she said, but the functional doctor was trying to figure it out. She's like, I don't get it. She's like, you're one of the healthiest people I know. She said, there's got to be something else going on. She's like, we have to dig deeper. And so they ended up deciding to test for mold. So she did a mycotoxin test. And that's when they finally figured it out. That was the reason that her body just wouldn't heal. She said she was getting constant infections because she had mycotoxin poisoning. And so she said that's when we had to deal with the mold every single day. This is what she said. She said that people encounter mold all the time. And she said people with healthy immune systems, it doesn't bother them. But for people that have immunocompromised systems, like she's dealing with leaky gut and all these issues, she said these biotoxins will implant themselves into areas like your gut, your eyes, your sinuses. And so, and then the kind of mold that she had can actually cause seizures. So it made her resistant to antibiotics. She said that's why her infections wouldn't heal. So now she said she's on this major protocol. She takes this BGE spray. She takes 100 supplements a day. Can you imagine having to swallow 100 different pills per day? Sounds terrible. She said she does IVs. And then the biggest game changer was this thing called EBU. And she said it's essentially kidney dialysis. It removes your blood, it cleans it, they add ozone to it, it filters out all the bad stuff, and then you put it back in you. And she's like, it's crazy. She's like, you can actually see the microplastics and you can see parasites if you have them. She said and Maria was like, that freaks me out. She's like, I've heard of people that have gotten HIV this way. And Jenny's like, I thought the same thing. She's like, I was freaked out. She said, but the good thing about it, and the reason that it's so expensive and the reason it's impossible to get HIV is because she's like, you have your own kit, you have your own equipment. She said they only use that equipment for your treatment. And so it's all only you. It's this equipment is yours. You pay $1,500 a treatment and they recommend doing it at least 3 times. She's like, after they use this equipment, they throw it all away. They don't clean it. It's not about disinfecting it and using on the next patient. They just throw it all away. So there's no chance of, contamination from another human. At least that's what they say. But she said that's how she knew it worked. She said that as soon as she did this, her leg cramping went away. She said that was one of the worst symptoms, was she had these debilitating leg cramps, and she had no idea, but that was a sign of mold poisoning. And so after she did the blood cleansing, the cramping is gone. She spent a whole year suffering from that. Maria now wants to go see if her dad has mold toxicity, because I guess her dad is getting, a lot of leg cramps. So they go on talking a little bit more about different things. But the thing that I really wanted to hear about and wanted to report on was the issues with her mouth and her eyeballs. Like, I had heard that she had growths on her eyes. I heard that her teeth were falling out of her head. And I needed to know why. Because have you guys ever has anyone ever out there had one of those nightmares where your teeth are falling out of your head? I used to have a recurring nightmare where that would happen. And it would start out like my teeth would be loose and I'd be trying not to allow them to fall out. And it's a very traumatizing situation. I've heard of influencers that have had veneers, and they'll go on vacation. One of their veneers falls off, and then they have this little stub of an ugly tooth, and they have to go to a dentist to get that fixed. Another reason I would never get veneers. So I thought, maybe it's tied to her veneers, but it was the mold toxicity and the root canal. And I do think that biological dentists are phenomenal. That is a really, if you do have a lot of different symptoms that you're not sure what it is, I think it's good, some of these scans that they can do and you just never know what it could be. I mean, for Yolanda Foster, removing her implants, right? A lot of people get sick from their implants. People develop infections that they don't know about, right? Brandy Glanville, her whole body was being ravaged by this leaking silicone or whatever it was, her implant that was leaking poison into her body. And she was having all kinds of different reactions because this poison was affecting her. So it is fascinating to see, what affects you and what in your environment can have these debilitating effects on you. So anyway, that's what happened with Jenny McCarthy. She clearly is, the peptides and whatever she's doing for her skin, she does look great. So these peptides definitely work, even though she doesn't have the best nutrition and I don't think she works out a ton. She looks like $1 million at 53, even with all these other health things going on. Someday, hopefully, the peptides are coming my way. I cannot wait. And hopefully they get more and more affordable as we go. And then there's more research done by the time I get to them. But anyway, that is the show. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If there are any topics you want me to cover, I did just read about looks maxing, this male thing that's happening. I'll probably do a topic on that. I still want to maybe cover that YouTube show that my listener sent me. So I have some drama-filled updates for my VIP show that's going to be airing next week. So anyway, if you want to subscribe and get that premium content, you can go to Patreon, just search the Diet Obsessed podcast and subscribe to both tiers there. You can go wherever you listen to podcasts and subscribe, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. Follow me on Instagram at the Diet Obsessed podcast. That's a good place to DM me if you have any ideas or thoughts or suggestions or comments, criticisms, stories you want to share. I'm open to it all. And until we meet again, I hope you have a very balanced week.